The subject's not moving. We're encroaching upon him. He's not moving.
10-5.
Ambulance up, subject down. Officers down. I need ambulance.
85 deaths.
Stop.
We have one officer shot.
Received.
43, Rob.
Franklin Dispatch, all squad 7512 South Howell Avenue. Subject with a gun, balding, white t-shirt. Officer down.
We're still awaiting the outcome of a full investigation. Yesterday I had a chance to speak to both the governor and the mayor, as well as leaders of the Sikh community in Oak Creek. All of us are heartbroken by what's happened, and I offered the thoughts and prayers not only of myself and Michelle, but also of the country as a whole. I think all of us recognize that these kinds of terrible, tragic events are happening with too much regularity for us not to do some soul searching and to examine additional ways that we can reduce.
He was going to say reduce violence. Welcome to the Savage Nation. It's a story that needs discussion. I am going to discuss the racist Sikh temple shooting that occurred yesterday. Obviously, it's on everybody's mind, most particularly the families and friends and the larger community of the Sikh community in America. There are many things I want to ask you, and I'm sure many of you would like to make comments on the Sikh shooting. The first question that came to anyone's mind when they heard about this was, who did it? What was the race? That's the first thing. Let's not fool ourselves. That's the first thing that entered everybody's mind. Who did the shooting? No one asked, after we found out it was a white male supremacist, a white supremacist who did the shooting, nobody asked who was the hero cop who saved the other Sikhs and took 9 bullets in doing so. No one talked about the race of the hero Brooklyn-born cop who stood up to this madman and took 9 bullets trying to stop the racist madman who shot up a Sikh temple in suburban Milwaukee. In fact, while he was being shot, he was telling the Sikhs to get into the temple. And that is Police Lieutenant Brian Murphy, age 51, born in New York, whose brother Terry is a retired NYPD detective. This is a man who also served in the U.S. Marine Corps. And this is a man who is, I would say, if you're looking for a hero, it's this hero. Now, if you want to generalize about racism and race, you can do that. Yes, it was a white male who did the shooting, and yes, it was a white male who prevented a further bloodbath. So now can we move on to the next question? The next question is, why is there such a cluster of insane shootings in America under Obama? I think the question answers itself to a certain extent. I think that race relations are worse today than they ever have been in my lifetime. I've never seen anything like this. We know that the Democrat Party itself is a party that thrives on, let us say, dissension between peoples. We certainly know that Obama and his minions are conducting class warfare in America, pitting poor against rich, the middle class against the poor, the middle class against the rich. We know that the Obama machine wants blacks to resent whites, whites to resent blacks, Hispanics to resent black. It just doesn't end. We know that we have the most divisive administration in modern American history. I don't know of one that's been more divisive. Can we blame Axelrod? No. Can we blame Obama? No. You can blame anybody you want. The fact of the matter is there was a madman, a racist white male madman, who shot up a Sikh temple, and people are dead. If you're a member of the United States Sikh community, what do you want to say to America is the real question. And who do you think is most to blame for the recent spate of mass shootings in America? And while you're at it, will someone answer this question, please? Can someone stand up in the audience and tell me why the media has almost immediately brushed aside the Fort Hood massacre conducted by the Muslim major Nidal Hassan, and as near as 2 weeks ago brushed aside the finding that the FBI knew that the Muslim major Nidal Hassan was a madman and a ticking time bomb about to go off? Can you tell me why Wolf Blitzer and the other vermin in the media completely pushed aside and still to this day do not refer to the Fort Hood massacre with any consideration? Moreover, why do you think the anti-Christian, anti-white, anti-American Southern Poverty Law Center has suddenly inserted itself into this tragedy? Who is the Southern Poverty Law Center? We're going to look into them and ask ourselves, have they anything to do with the militarization of individuals in this country simply by picking on white males? We have many other questions. We should talk about the Sikh people. I can't say I'm an expert, but anyone who does a search will find out that the Sikhs are, more or less an offshoot of the Hindu faith, not the Muslim faith, not that it should matter. This madman obviously thought he was killing foreigners. He didn't care who they were. For him, it could have been Jews just as well. And I have a question for the audience that I think is very important. And that goes to Jews, Hindus, Muslims, Buddhists, and any other minority sect and religion in America. Would you object to having armed security guards at your house of worship? I have for years have been trying to get some Jewish people that I know to have armed security guards, and they live in a glass house of absurdity. Oh, it won't happen. Oh, don't worry. Oh, Hashem will protect me. They don't listen to reality. They don't know what reality they're in. There should be armed guards inside Jewish temples and outside. Some have them, by the way. Hindus should have armed guards. Muslims should have armed guards. And by the way, not American military, not American police paid for by taxpayers, but paid for by the congregation. Jews, Hindus, Muslims, Buddhists, I recommend that you have armed security guards, private armed security guards, both inside and outside your houses of worship, because I think it's going to get worse than it's ever been. Now, if you want to talk about this Sikh temple shooting in any manner, you can do so. I'm quite surprised that various individuals who I admire in the media are calling him an army vet, as if to smear the army and if to imply that he and the army had something to do with it. I mean, he was kicked out of the army 14 years ago. That's like saying Sikh shooter was a milk drinker. Sikh shooter got a haircut. Sikh shooter was tattooed. That has as much relevance as him having been kicked out of the army 14 years ago. But we'll open the conversation by taking your calls on the Savage Nation, 1-800-449-8255. Let's begin in New York. Barry's the first to call on WOR. Barry, go ahead, please.
Okay,
Barry, you're on the...
I don't think this should be politicized in any way. And with all due respect, to attribute this in any way, shape, or form to the Obama administration is just as wrong as labeling this guy as an ex-serviceman. I am an independent. I'm a Zionist. I'm a proud American. This has nothing to do with Obama. Stop.
Well, why don't you say I believe? Wait, excuse me, sir. Sir, I appreciate the fact that it's a free country and we all have very strong opinions, but you are categorically saying it has nothing to do with Obama. I'm not so sure I agree with you. I personally believe Obama has pitted the races against each other and has created the incendiary climate in which things of this nature are occurring. I think he's pushing people over the edge, personally.
But you're on the radio. You have a very, very powerful position.
And so it's one man's opinion.
Not when you're on the radio. You're a terrific... Listen, I've been listening to you for years, many years. I lived in Marin County for many years. I've been listening to you for years. I continue to listen to you. I'm begging you not to politicize this because that's driving the engine that fuels this crazy nut
Well, now you raise a very interesting question. Who politicized this lunatic to go shoot up Sikhs? Who do you think pushed him over the edge? Let me ask you the question then. Since you say don't politicize it, what is it that must have triggered this white supremacist to go into a temple where people wear long beards and they have turbans and shoot it up? What do you think triggered him?
In a word, hate.
Well, there's a lot of hate in the world. In fact, most people walk around with hate in their heart. I mean, let's not be children about it. You think the average person walking around has love in their heart? I don't believe that. I think this country is filled with hatred.
I agree with you there. We are... This is a sad and beautiful planet. I agree with you, Michael. I agree with you. But saying that this is an Obama...
So listen to what I'm getting at. Take my viewpoint and do with it as you will. There's a lot of hatred. People have seething hatreds, jealousies, rages. That's almost part of the human condition. But it seems to be at a fever pitch now under Obama because, in my opinion, He has conducted class warfare from the day he started as president. His stock in trade is pitting race against race, class against class. That is not to say he wanted this to happen, but as you know and I know, this crisis will not go wasted by his team.
Dr. Savage, just keep in mind that David Duke ran for president, and David Duke has just as much influence on a core membership than anybody else, whether it's Obama or Reagan or you or me. And let me tell you something, it is wrong, it is absolutely wrong to politicize this, because it is, in my opinion, this is my opinion, on your radio show, thank you, Obama did not cause the problem caused Obama.
Now, what do you mean by what problem caused Obama?
Listen, this is a nation that is founded on the Judeo-Christian ethic. However, we all know that it's really, basically, fundamentally a Christian nation. As a Jew, I have no problem with that. But to look at the history of this nation and the civil strife and the political and the civil discord that's going on now, especially in these economic times, with and post 9/11, it's very, very complicated. I don't think Obama is perfect. I think he is far from it. I have my issues with him. But tell me, where do we have in either party, left, right, or center, where do we have a true statesman? Where do we have someone as eloquent as Abba Eban, someone as committed to peace as Anwar Sadat, may he rest in peace? Where are the true statesmen? I don't care.
Well, now you're politicizing the question, and it's far beyond the scope of today's program. I think, by the way, that your question and your comments are extremely poignant, and I think that they're worthy of discussion. However, I think I would be remiss as a man who exists only because of my strong opinions and only because I'm willing to express strong opinions. Without strong opinions, there is no talk radio. Let's start with that. And I would say that we absolutely, as a nation, have to analyze who is in charge of this country. Right now, it's Obama. Why does there seem to be an increase in violence in the streets, whether it be... Why is this happening right now? Why?
Who was president during Columbine?
Well, of course I understand that, but we're not talking about Columbine anymore, are we?
Who was president during the Columbine massacre?
But we're not talking about Columbine. We're talking about the... No, sir, please. You're very clever, but don't play Talmudic scholar with me, because I was a Talmudic scholar before you were a Talmudic scholar, if you know what I'm saying. Don't answer a question with a question. I know the game. We're talking about what has happened in this country since Obama took office. So I'll ask you a Talmudic question. Why has Obama told the FBI and the Justice Department to sweep the Fort Hood massacre under the carpet and make certain that he's not brought to trial since he became president? Why?
If that's the case, I want to know why. I demand an explanation.
Why have we heard nothing about the Fort Hood massacre almost since it occurred? Why has the FBI pushed it under the rug while Obama's in office? Does anyone have an answer to that? I know the answer. And I'll tell you what just came out, since you said don't politicize it, because you're going to be shocked when I tell you this story. You're not going to believe this. It just came out. It was posted a second ago on the Drudge Report. India itself has blamed the White House for the massacre of the Sikhs. Who is politicizing it now? I'll be right back.
Savage.
Welcome back to the Savage Nation. We're all responding to this massacre in Wisconsin, and we're trying to make sense of it. A caller said don't politicize it, when in fact this was a political act. There's no question this was a racist political act, and politics are very much a part of this discussion. And I'm asking a simple question that has almost nothing to do with, well, directly to do with this, but I've asked you, would you object to having armed security guards within your house of worship, especially if you're a minority, a member of a minority religion? I certainly wouldn't. In fact, I thought it's long overdue. I have no idea why houses of worship, especially of minorities, are not armed to the teeth. I don't understand it. Moreover, the media, of course, has tried to make Sikhs into Muslims, which they're not, which, is neither here nor there in some way. The racist madman thought that Sikhs were Muslims, not that it would have been less of a tragedy had he done it in a Muslim house of worship, obviously. Would have been the same tragedy, okay? But this lunatic didn't care and would have shot any minority in a temple with a turban or a skull cap or a beard if he could have. So he was a racist who chose the Sikhs. And the question is, what do we do now? Well, the answer to me, the immediate answer is, instead of dancing on the head of a pin, is make sure that if you are a member of a temple or you're a Muslim, a Hindu, a Jewish person, a Buddhist, and you're worried about this, you get the congregation to invest money in armed security guards, both inside and outside your house of worship, like tomorrow. Don't ask for the government to do it. You do it. 7. Listen to me. I know people in the media who I trust who told me these things would be happening. They didn't know where, when, or how. They predicted that there would be incidents like this leading up to the election. And they also predict it's going to get worse before the election. They don't know how, when, or why. I mean, I've had people say to me, these people are mind controlled by the CIA. I don't believe it. They're releasing them like in the movie theater, that nut, this nut, trying to send them out there to cause havoc and mayhem in order to scare people, because the more scared people are, the more likely they are to vote for Obama. I've heard people say that. Do I agree with them? No. No, I don't agree with them, but people are saying it, and you should know that, incidentally. So let's take some callers on this issue. New York City, WR, Jagdeep, welcome to the Savage Nation. Go ahead, please.
Yes, doctor. I, even has no race, no color, no face, no belief system. The guy who cared about evil, my heart goes out to the officer who took 9 bullets. Most probably he saved 9 more lives. Mm-hmm. I admire the courage of this man, what sacrifice he gave to save the innocent people.
Mm-hmm.
And
Jagdish, you said that the man who did the shooting had no religion. Is that what you believe?
I don't think he believes in any God, because, no matter what religious book you open, the very first thing every religion says, love and respect the others.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that's right. The first tenet of any religion is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So by definition, this man was, I would say, an atheist.
He was, even God, house of the God is not safe in these days. Earlier you were discussing about, putting the security guard in front of the worship place. I happen to agree with you, because it's like, this kind of crazy people, they're scaring the people off who do believe in God, who do believe in equality.
Yeah, but look, Jagdish, I hear you, but you can't trust in God in situations like this. You can't trust in God when you have godless people who are able to conduct a massacre like this. I think that people, especially in minority religions, really have to have the congregation raise the funds for armed security guards during worship services. And I'll leave it at that. That's my opinion. It's one man's opinion. That goes for Hindus, Muslims, Jews, Zoroastrians, Buddhists. If you feel that you are possibly subject to such a potential massacre, why not? Why not use the congregation? The government can't protect you. You don't want the government standing outside a church with an armed soldier. I don't want that, and you don't want that. And the police are stretched too thin as it is. I think that you need to hire private armed security guards for a thing like this. That's my opinion.